So here we see Jesus at the lake of Gennesaret in Luke chapter 5. The people are pressing upon him because they wanted the word, they wanted more. And sometimes when you are gifted in a way, it cause people to make a lot of demand on you. So here there's so much demand. People want more. People want a word. People need to hear from God. People need encouragement. People need hope. And he's here and he's giving hope and he's giving a word to the people. And there were some boats there, and Simon, of course, was there. Simon Peter. You remember Simon? I really love Simon because he's outspoken. And by now, you might realize I really do like people who are outspoken. And one of the reasons I really love the psalmist David. So here is Peter, and he's fishing. He's a fisherman. He's experienced at this. This is what he does for a living. This is what he does for a livelihood. This is how he puts food on his family table. This is how he feeds his family. And there he is, and Jesus is speaking with the people. He's teaching them, and he turned to Peter and he said, launch out into the deep. Such a command. Now, Peter looked at him and said, Master, we've toiled all night and caught nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word. I love that because one, Peter is a professional at this. This is what he does for a living. He knows what he's doing. He knows where to throw his net. He's experienced. And it's not like he's just somebody that's trying. This is what he does for a living. This is not a novice by any means. But here is a command from the Lord. Launch out into the deep. I want you to go further. I want you to do more. Some of us, we have a tendency to stay on the shallow end. The shallow end of life. The shallow end of our business. The shallow end of our ministry. We are afraid of the deep. We're afraid of what we might find. We're afraid of the demand. We are afraid of the responsibility that might be placed upon us. We allow fear to hinder us. We allow fear to limit us. But Jesus said to Peter, launch out into the deep. There is more for you on the deeper end. There is more for you. There is greater for you. There is greatness. But before he obeyed the command, he said, Master, we have toiled all night and caught nothing. Are you like Peter today? Toiling, but there's just no reward. You're not experiencing, you're not seeing the fruit of your labor. Toiling with your children, but somehow there is no change. Toiling with your business, but somehow you're not experiencing the growth in the business that you would like. Toiling on your job, but still no promotion, no reward. Are you like Peter, toiling all night, but you've caught nothing? You've labored, you've given much, but there is nothing coming back to you in return. You are giving love, but it's not being reciprocated. Are you like Peter, doing everything that you know that you can? And guess what? You're experienced at this. You do not understand why there is nothing, but God is setting you up for a miracle. You're great at your job. You're skilled. As a matter of fact, you're the best, but you're in a season of nothingness with all that you are doing, and you're working hard and you're laboring and you're staying up late, but there is nothing. You're pouring and pouring into your ministry, into your community, but like Peter, you're saying, Master, I have toiled all night. We've been here working at this. We've been pouring in our money. We've been pouring in our time. We've been doing, we've been giving, and we've been doing all that we know that we should do. We're doing what we know how to do best, but still there is nothing. You might be like Peter tonight, not knowing what next to do or where next to turn or who to turn to. But the Master is saying to you, launch out into the deep. He says, nevertheless, at your word. And that is where God wants us to be. You're at the place for a miracle. You're at the perfect place for a miracle. Isn't it amazing that this is the Lake Gennesaret? It's a place of paradise. It's a place of prosperity. But there was none. They were experiencing none. Sometimes you're at a place. It might be a place of peace for everyone else, but there's no peace for you. It might be a place of prosperity for others, but you are not experiencing prosperity there. Others say, if you get that job, if you apply, you will get it. I applied, I got it, it's good, it's going great. But somehow you're doing the same thing like everybody else does, but you're not experiencing change. You're not reaping the fruit of your labor. Whatever you're doing, it's not coming to fruition. Your dreams, your vision, it's not coming to fruition. But Peter said, nevertheless, Lord, even though I tried, I must admit that all my human effort have failed. Even though I've worked so hard and I set up at night, I must admit that my human effort is limited. And at best, I'm a failure. Master, at your word. The people were there to get a word from God. They gathered, they pressed him because they needed a word from the Lord. Are you there where you need a word from God, where you're saying, Master, only you can help me. I have tried everything and everything has failed. My health is failing. I've tried the doctor, I've tried the prescriptions, I've tried everything that they recommended, and God, at best, everything has failed me. My friends have failed me. My family has failed me. My job has failed me. My children has failed me. My spouse has failed me. But Master, nevertheless, at your word, because only your word will give me peace. His voice makes a difference. When he speaks, he relieves my troubled mind. It's the only voice I hear that makes a difference. Nevertheless, at thy word. My God, do you need a word from the Lord today? God is saying to somebody, launch out into the deep. I know you've tried. I know you've cast your net. I know you've labored. I know you've been here all night. I know you've endured the night. You've endured the pain. You've endured the darkness. And you are still here working and trying and praying and seeking and fasting. I know you have endured the night, Peter. But trust my word. Launch out into the deep. Go a little further. Go a little further. Hold out a little while longer. Take Jesus at his words, and he will carry you through to the promised land. Take Jesus at his word. He says, nevertheless, at your word. Today, God wants somebody to be at that nevertheless place. Not my will, Lord, but thy will be done. God, if it's up to me, I'll stay right here in the shallow. If I can't manage the shallow, if nothing is happening in the shallow, I don't see how it's going to happen out in the deep. But nevertheless, Lord, my God, this is something I've been doing for years. I'm a master at this. I'm an expert at my job. Nevertheless, at best, I'm a failure. Nevertheless, Lord, my God, I will do your will. Nevertheless, Lord, I will obey your word. Like Peter today, God wants to give you a miracle when you're at that nevertheless place.